And welcome to a brand new installment of Nintendo World Report at Night. I'm your host, Alexander Kalafi, and today, joining me to talk about Nintendo games coming out in 2016, one Mr. Donald Terrio. Hello, Donald.
I was told we were bringing blue platforming mascots. Unfortunately, Shovel Knight's delayed here.
You know what? I was so sure you were going to have yours this week that I didn't even know if I should necessarily bring mine. But it's actually coincidental.
How's that?
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, what happened was I accidentally left the live stream on so then I could actually hear myself start the show as we were talking. But anyways, what I was saying was I didn't actually originally intend to buy this thing at all, but I showed up at GameStop yesterday and they had one left and I was like, I don't think I want to do that. And then I went to another GameStop coincidentally later that day, and then they also had one Shovel Knight left, and I was like, you know what? This could be one of the rare ones. I really like Shovel Knight. It has some bonus stages in it. It's a good build quality, and it was a good figure. It didn't have any paint fuck ups. So I was like, you know what? I will get myself the Shovel Knight amiibo. And you know what? I don't regret it, because this is weird. It's weird that an amiibo of Shovel Knight exists and is being sold in national GameStop chains.
Yeah, it's kind of weird here because apparently there's some issue with the packaging. Thank you, Quebec, for screwing up with for the rest of the country, because it's only in English right now. So they have to print it with French packaging. So that's setting it back at least a week.
So that's a legal thing? That's not just a marketing thing?
That is required by Quebec law, and Quebec is big enough that you probably should just ship it everything bilingual anyway.
Ah, okay. Well, for this installment of Nintendo World Report at Night, we are talking about the Nintendo 2016 release calendar, stuff on Wii U and 3DS, and a couple mobile things as well. We're not really going to talk about NX because NX, we could do a speculative segment on NX. We technically kind of did that at the telethon, but there wouldn't be that much to really say at all. So we're just going to talk about the stuff that we know exists.
Yeah, I mean, technically Nintendo is supposed to release some NX information soon, but they still haven't. So we'd just be spitballing for no readily apparent reason.
So did they say soon? Did we get a soon at one point, or is it still just a vague 2016?
They just said 2016, although I'm thinking we'll probably see something by the end of the quarter, if only because of their financial results calls.
Well, I think they have something else that they're preparing for the end of the quarter, which we will be talking about very soon. This is going to be two segments. We're going to be talking about the stuff that has release dates through April, just the main Nintendo games, and then a couple other things. And then we're going to be just talking about the TBAs, the games that have not fully had their release dates yet. And obviously, in proper fashion, we will be talking about Zelda at the very, very end. So, Mario & Luigi Paper Jam. That comes out on January 22nd. That is the Paper Mario crossover with Mario & Luigi, Superstar Saga, that whole franchise. Every single day this game passes, and every single day we get closer to the release of this game, I still think about the game more and more, but I think I want the game less and less, Donald.
You're kind of scared off by the European reviews?
That's exactly what it is. And the fact that Dream Team kind of left me high and dry, and the last Paper Mario game definitely left me very high and dry. You know what? If this game is really good and it gets some more positive feedback as it hits the States, I'll buy it. I love both franchises and I want all video games to be good. I'm just worried. And I guess my apathy is protecting me from having to be let down if the game ends up not being so good.
Yeah, if it's a less talky Dream Team, this might be it might be something that it's worth finishing for me. But I'm subscribing to the Star Trek movie theory on these Mario and Luigi games, and that every other one is good. So that means Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story are the good ones, and hopefully Paper Jam lives up to it. But hopefully it avoids the recent 3DS stain of Paper Mario, because as an RPG, Paper Mario Sticker Star was an okay adventure game.
Yes, taken on its own merits, Paper Mario Sticker Star isn't that bad. Maybe 7.5, 8 out of 10 kind of game, but it's just the Thousand Year Door and the original Paper Mario are not 7.5, 8 out of 10 games. Those are both like 9.5s, 10s. It's at worst. So I don't know. I'm a little worried, but I hope you're right about this theory of yours. Other games. Final Fantasy Explorers. That's coming out on January 26th. We will see how that goes. What is that game again?
It is Square's attempt to bring Monster Hunter fans into the Final Fantasy fold by it's a hunting action game where instead of cats, you can summon various Final Fantasy heroes and lightning.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on to February, we got Project Cross Zone. I didn't write down the date for that one.
That is the 16th.
That is February 16th. I guess the reason why I'm a little more interested in that one is because now it has the Yakuza, it has Shenmue. Is this the first time Phoenix Wright characters are getting involved?
I think so, and it also has Fiora and Chrom and Lucina.
Okay, so we got some Nintendo stuff in there too. It definitely seems like Project Cross Zone 2 is making good on all of the characters that should have been in the original Project Cross Zone, but weren't quite there.
Yeah, the only problem with this is that we'll talk about what it's coming out up against. So I don't know when I'm going to play Project Cross Zone 2.
That's true, because 3 days later, Final Fantasy Fates, Birthright, and Conquest.
Fire Emblem Fates.
Yep, Fire Emblem Fates. February 19th. That is going to maybe be Game of the Year. We'll see.
I know at least one list in this apartment that it will be probably number one, if not both of our lists. But I've got the limited edition pre-ordered, and I unfortunately did not get the review for this one. So yeah, February 19th is going to be a very long weekend because I'm going to be playing as much Fire Emblem as one can stand.
Yes, I'm aggressively excited for this game. I hear it is actually better than Fire Emblem Awakening.
Yeah, they're appealing to both the old school Fire Emblem fan base and the fan base that came in with Awakening, which is about 80% of the Fire Emblem fan base at this point. So and then you have that third path, which those of us with the limited edition are going to be getting to experience straight away. So that I think I might be playing that one straight through to May.
Wow. Yeah, I was not lucky enough to get the limited edition, so I'm thinking I'm gonna jump in on Conquest, play on hard, and then have a real good time. And then if the game is super amazing, I'll just do what the people in Japan did. Bought the second and third versions on the eShop. That might be what I end up doing.
Yeah, that hopefully the pricing for Canadians isn't too bad, but I'm going to have all three games physically apparently, so that'll be fun to have.
Yeah. Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, the only virtual console game I will bring up. It is coming out on February 27th. That is Pokemon's 20th anniversary. I might buy all three of these versions. And I have no reason to, because I'm not one of those people who cares that much about like actually buying Game Boy ROMs. But just because it seems like they're putting in a little work into these, and I want to support the idea of the Pokemon games, like getting that work to be put on virtual console, the idea of getting local multiplayer back in Pokemon games, especially since I'm still like in a university and I still know people who play Pokemon, and I can actually still take advantage of this. I've also never actually beaten Yellow. That's one of my big sort of skeletons in the Pokemon closet, is that I've beaten Red and Blue, but in Yellow I got to Brock. I gave up when I was a little kid and then never went back. So this is my opportunity.
I was going to say, I thought Sabrina would be the roadblock because, 3 level 50 psychics for her in Red, Blue, and Yellow is like she's basically pulling out a gun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. So looking forward to that. I kind of wish they did the 3D remake treatment on that. Those would have been the games that I think would have been really cool to get some 3D treatment, even though they still would have been mostly in like blue and white or black and white or red and white like the games originally were. I have this weird feeling that the 2D sprites in the original Pokemon games would translate well to 3D.
I'm thinking there's I'm probably going to end up just getting Red if I get any of them, because I can't go back to old Pokemon games, especially not ones where you have limited item slots. And even the PC is limited, and they've made so many quality of life improvements to this game that I don't know. If I get any, it might be red, especially considering the rumored price for these things is $10.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people are going to be in for an unpleasant surprise when they realize that these games play like these games, and they're not bad by any stretch. They are among the best JRPGs of all time, in my opinion. But the problem with them is that the gameplay in the original Pokemon games is so drastically slower than the ones that came after it that it's going to be pretty hard for a lot of people to stick around the full 20 hours to actually beat them. Okay. Moving on to March, Twilight Princess HD comes out on March 4th. That comes with a Midna figure. And we also got Hyrule Warriors Legends coming out on March 25th. I am getting neither of these. Donald, are you getting either?
I am getting both. I managed to secure a fair price on Twilight Princess HD, which, considering they're charging $100 for it retail here, that seems a little insane, but I got it for basically standard Wii U price, which at this point is a bargain. I'm kind of looking forward to going back to one of the 3D Zeldas I actually managed to put some decent progress into. And Hyrule Warriors Legends, yes, I'm playing that just so I can play as Linkle.
Yeah. Do we know if they're actually doing a lot of real content changes to improve this game? Because I'm under the impression that they didn't announce that many details about this.
They haven't announced any details yet. If they're making any dramatic changes, like shortening the opening, which is sort of the Triforce Hunt of the game, then they're probably going to announce that in whatever the first Direct of the year is, unless that first Direct is in late March.
This was the first Zelda game where they started getting too long, right?
You could almost say that with Wind Waker, where they drastically padded out the back half of the game with the Triforce Hunt. And there were supposed to be some dungeons in there, but they never got around to they didn't get a chance to put those in. But I think this is really the one that gets off to a really slow start. And I'm playing Skyward Sword now, and I can tell you about a slow start.
Yeah, Skyward Sword. As someone who beat and loved the heck out of Skyward Sword, that if the game does have one flaw, it is definitely that it could have been maybe 10 hours shorter. April. Star Fox Zero comes out on April 22nd. And I'm excited. I think they're going to do good stuff to this game in the time they're taking off. I think the problems from last E3 are going to get ironed out. I really want a really good Star Fox game again.
I'm still curious how they're going to take a game that inherently runs in 60-minute chunks and stretch it out to being a full retail game in 2016. But I think what they've shown so far I'm going to trust Platinum to do what they do, which is make games that are either really good or at least entertaining crap.
Yeah. Yep. This game isn't going to be like an hour, though, like Star Fox 64, I don't think. I think they're going to manage to make it 5 or 6 hours, and in Platinum fashion, it's still going to be aggressively replayable. See, one of the reasons why Platinum Games is perfect for this, outside of the fact that it's been such Kamiya and Star Fox, that's the game he really wants to work on. What makes Platinum Games so good for this is that Platinum Games is really wonderful at designing games that you want to play at least 2 or 3 times, if not more than that. Like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, I've probably beaten it 4 or 5 times by this point, just because they make these action games that are addicting in these ways where you're inspired to go back and do it again and do it in a different way and play it in a different way. And it's still just as fun the second or third time around. So I have confidence that they're going to do Star Fox at least as much justice as anyone else at Nintendo could do.
Yeah, and I think they've delayed Scale Down to make sure that this comes out right. So hopefully it comes out as good as it is, and we don't have John Reardon crying on YouTube again.
Sure. Okay. We also have a bunch of stuff that's sort of TBA, talking about some of the stuff that's going to be coming out in spring. Miitomo, the game we mentioned from earlier, is going to be coming out before the end of March, presumably. And it's probably already done. The reason why they're waiting until March is pretty much so that they know how to market it to a global audience correctly. We're not even sure how much of a game this is. It looks like Tamagotchi Life, but more of an app, but maybe there's some line-style functionality in it at the same time, is the impression I got.
Yeah, it's a communication application that's crossed with a bit of a game, as much as you said with Tamagotchi Life. We'll wait to see what happens. I might download it. I don't know, but it sounds like it's not going to be aggressively trying to charge, which is a good thing in the mobile market.
Yeah, Nintendo's been good about their free-to-play stuff lately. They haven't been like at least super egregious. The Pokemon games, like they Picross was a little bad with that stuff, but Nintendo Badge Arcade, which was literally designed to give you aesthetic crap and charge you money. It's not invasive at all. It asks you maybe one question a day if you want to play with real money, and then you say no, and then it stops bothering you. So I think they're gonna nail the non-invasive free-to-play mechanics for this game. I don't know. I hope every game turns out okay. The other mobile game coming out, Pokemon Go, which is not technically a Nintendo joint, but is it's Niantic.
And Pokemon Company is very closely related, and Miyamoto was at the unveiling, so it essentially is a Nintendo game at this point.
This was also one of Iwata's last big projects, it's worth noting.
Right. So this one's not getting as much attention, but it probably should be, just because it's like, I mean, we talked about it when it came out. It's real life Pokemon, or as close as we can get to it. And Nintendo isn't moving into VR, but they're really making moves with AR again. So hopefully this blows up big for Nintendo and gets people back into Pokemon again.
Absolutely. I have a feeling this game is going to give us the Star Wars Battlefront sort of experience, where it's super aggressively overhyped, when in reality it's going to end up being this relatively simple but kind of addicting mobile game. And then by the time it comes out, and then by the time some time passes, people are going to be like, it was pretty good, but it was a little bit of a letdown. That's how I feel Pokemon Go is going to get received.
As long as they're not charging $50 for a season pass, I think we'll be good.
Sure. Do you think they're going to go heavy-handed with free-to-play stuff? Because this isn't Nintendo. This is the Pokemon Company on their own.
Well, I mean, based on how they did it with Shuffle Mobile, it's something to watch for, but I don't think unless they're going to start aggressively charging for things like potions or Great Balls, I don't see it being an issue.
All right, fair enough. Speaking of Pokemon, Pokkén Tournament is coming out in the spring. The fighting game made in collaboration with the Tekken team, the Wii U version. It seems like it's going to come out in the April-May area. There's going to be a new character getting announced on January 16th, I believe.
Yeah, it's good. And end of this coming week, we'll have the next character for it. It seems likely to be Swampert, sort of playing off Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, but the only hint we have is a blue color and one particular Japanese character.
So those hints that we've seen are consistent with Swampert?
Yeah, Swampert does have that character in his name, and that would explain the blue coloring. So I think this will do well on Wii U. The only concern I have is it as a competitive game, like in the Evo crowd, because the whole having to have one wire controller and that's it, because of the need to have the two views.
So someone's going to have a gamepad no matter what?
Right. Because Hori is selling a special controller for this, and I think there's a story on this on the site, and it is basically one person is on the gamepad so they have the wide view of it, and then one person who's playing with this wire controller is on the TV.
That's not going to work out for a fighting game community, because at the bare minimum, even if there are no wired controllers, it needs to at least be the exact same setup for everyone, or at least comparable.
Yeah, I think this is it'll probably be a really fun game either way. I just wish they would get Halucha announced already.
Yes, Halucha. I want Sock. I want the Hitmons. Those are the fighting game Pokemon that we still need. You know what? I think Sock and Throw get too much shit. I think they would be perfect for a game called Pokkén Tournament. Uh, those, you know what? But that's beside the point. Halucha, Sock, Throw, and then the Hitmons, those need to be in this game. Swampert's really good for this game because he's a heavier character and there aren't that many characters. Pokkén Tournament, once again, is a very good game. And it's good. It's very accessible for non-fighting game fans. I would call it actually a better in between Smash and a real fighting game than PlayStation All Stars was.
Interesting. Well, I'll take your word for it because I still haven't played it.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Cool. Zero Time Dilemma. What do you have to say about that?
We have one little teaser site since, but this is the kind of game that is inherently going to go silent for long periods of time before it comes out sometime this summer. And I can't wait. I still have to get my replay in. Actually, I think that's going to be that's going to be my project when I'm traveling in June to try and get through a replay of the series, so I'm fresh for when Zero Time Dilemma comes out.
Yeah, the super frustrating thing about this is that Zero Escape 2, and I won't spoil a single thing in saying this, but Zero Escape 2 ended in a really intentionally, deliberately unsatisfying cliffhanger that really, really, really made you want to play the conclusion to this story. And it's coming like 4 years later, which means it's almost impenetrable. It's not impenetrable because these 2 and 1, 999 and Zero Escape 2 were both accessible on their own, but it's going to be impossible for me to play this game without a replay of the second game, just because I totally forgot what happened at the end of it.
Yeah, and Axis needs. I think Axis needs to work on getting a virtual console release of 999 on the Wii U before this comes out, because there's 2 games to play. There's no real satisfying way to play the original game because you have a DS game on 3DS or you have a mobile port that takes out all the puzzle sequences.
Yeah. Yep. That is correct. Moving on, Mario and Sonic, the Rio 26 Olympics, Bravely Second, And then moving on, we got Dragon Quest games. Dragon Quest 7 and 8 are coming to the 3DS, and then also Dragon Quest 11, 3DS, Wii U, NX. That one, we'll figure out if that comes out in 2016, at least in the States. Probably not, but again, we will see. Dragon Quest 7 and 8, tell me something about that, Donald.
I mean, 7 is sort of the great unknown of the series because not a lot of people played that initially. It was like a PlayStation 1 game that came out in 2001 after the PS2 had come out. And that game was also about 100 hours long, but we know that the 3DS version cuts a lot of the fat out. And, well, for whatever this is going to be worth in North America, has Street Pass functionality to give you a booster. So I think it'll be a little bit more penetrable, and hopefully it comes out as a good game because I've personally never played the original. And 8 is they're trying to get a PS2 game on the 3DS that sort of works, but it's not going to be as full of an experience as it would be on the PS2, but it's still really cool to have this game come out portably and be accessible on a modern system because it's also never been re-released until now.
Sure. Cool. Okay, and then this next chunk of games for us to talk about is all stuff that hasn't really been announced for the West, but might eventually, some of them more likely than others. We got Rhythm Heaven, which is its remixy, sequel-y sort of thing. We got Picross 3D 2. We got the Box Boy sequel, which just got dropped and then in Japan. And then we got Style Savvy 3. Picross 3D 2 is going to make its way to America, I'm sure. The Box Boy sequel going to make its way to America, I'm sure. Rhythm Heaven and Style Savvy, I'm going to put those at about 50% each.
I can see Style Savvy coming west just because it appeals to a market that maybe Nintendo doesn't normally appeal to. And it's got actually one of the better amiibo functions of the year. We've got something going up about that, and I completely forgot to mention the amiibo costumes that they've got for every female amiibo Nintendo has.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Are they good?
Yeah, they look really good. And I mean, there's a Lucina costume.
Is there a Lottie costume?
I think Isabel's the only Animal Crossing rep.
Okay.
So if you want that one, you're going to have to find some poor schmuck who ended up with the Amiibo Festival. Although the way the price is dropping on that, it might be cheaper at some point to buy that than to buy 2 Amiibos.
Yeah. By the way, the Lottie amiibo is the most depressing thing to see because there are just stacks and stacks of it at the Targets and GameStops all around here. No one cares.
Yeah. Well, what Lottie's from what? From Happy Home Designer?
Exclusively from Happy Home Designer and Amiibo Festival. The worst things to ever happen to this franchise.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got an article on that on the site, but yeah, Animal Crossing Amiibo are tanking.
Yeah. Yes, Tom Nook is like $6 on Amazon.
He's under $6 at this point, and Mabel's going to get there eventually. She was for a bit too.
That's pretty sad because the Tom Nook amiibo is actually extremely well made.
I just love that Tom Nook is the cheapest of the bunch. Like the guy who's all about the money is now being short sold.
What comes around goes around, fucker. Okay, cool. Shin Megami Tensei Fire Emblem. You heard some interesting things about that one, didn't you, Don?
Okay, we've had some reports from people who've played the game in Japan where it is unfortunately not doing as well as I think either Nintendo or Atlas would like. The big complaint so far there's 2 major complaints. One is battle load times are like Final Fantasy PS1 port bad, like 8 or 9 seconds to get into a fight.
Oh no.
Yeah, and the other one is a sequence at the end of the second part of sort of the second major boss of the game. It is, shall we say, slightly uncomfortable and probably going to need some localization management.
Do we want to do a quick spoiler warning and then you tell me?
Yeah.
Okay, just skip ahead for a minute. I promise whatever Donald tells me will take less than 60 seconds. Go.
Okay, the end of chapter 2, you are basically forced to dress all of your female characters in very skimpy swimsuits to appeal to a perverted version of a Fire Emblem Awakening character.
Oh, do I want to know which one? Is it a good one that they chose?
Well, let's put it this way. There is a very young character there's a younger character that does go into the party at some point, so we might have another Lynn situation on our hands.
Oh no, I was talking about the perverted Fire Emblem character. Did they choose a good one for that?
It's one of the bosses who ends up joining your party, as I recall.
Okay, cool. All right, spoilers complete. Cool. That's great. I hope it stays. I hope they pull a Persona 4 and then Atlas fashion just keep it.
Yeah, I mean, if any company can get away with doing an M-rated JRPG, it's Atlas. But I think this one might stay, but I'm wondering if that's going to hold up its release because I originally thought this would be out before E3, but now I don't know.
Yeah. Does Nintendo do a lot of messy stuff with the localization in cleaning up some less objectionable stuff and cleaning up more objectionable stuff?
Well, they had the incidents last year with Fatal Frame, with changing some of the costumes. I think they replaced them with like Zero Suit, and there was the incidents with Xenoblade X where they removed the bust size slider for created female characters, and they changed some of the outfits that Lynn, who is a 13-year-old character, wears.
Okay.
And only for her.
Now it actually sounds like they probably will alter this at least slightly. Maybe add a little more to the swimsuits.
Maybe add a little more. Maybe, I don't know if they can change the scene. I don't know if the younger character is actually in that scene fully. Because my main source of this is Don Koopman was very uncomfortable with this scene when it happened. And Seren McNulty, who's an RFN irregular, who imported this game, basically said, yeah, this is probably getting changed before it comes west.
And there you have it. Speaking of things that should probably get changed before they come west, Metroid Prime Federation Force.
The 2016 Game of the Year. Thank you very much.
And you know what's funny? It actually could surprise us all and be the 2016 Game of the Year.
I mean, you've got on one hand, you've got basically Rocket League, which was one of the biggest surprises of 2015 in there. Unfortunately, I think Rocket League coming out kind of stole all that thunder. On the other hand, you've got you've basically got Metroid as Monster Hunter, which at the very least is right down my alley.
Yeah, it's crazy that these games were probably developed completely separately. But Metroid, like Blast Ball, looks so inferior to Rocket League that it looks like it's a direct ripoff to it.
Yeah, even though I think it was revealed first, and Rocket League's predecessor came out in what, 2008. So
I don't think it was necessarily revealed first. Rocket League had an interesting path. People knew about Rocket League before everyone knew about Rocket League. But anyways, continue.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you just look at it from the time of Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Power Battle Cars coming out, then yeah, 7 years you're okay for gimmick infringement. But yeah, this Federation Force, I hope it comes out, and I hope it is actually everybody else's 2016 Game of the Year.
Yeah. I hope this game is wonderful. I hope this game defies all odds and becomes the jolt that the Metroid franchise needs, and then it becomes so good that this is the only thing the Metroid franchise is from now on. This is the Fire Emblem Awakening for Metroid.
We are going to get so many comments on this video just from you saying that. You realize that, right?
We're going to get 3, and I look forward to all of them.
While we're at it, Devil's Third still sucks.
Oh, does it? Does it still suck, Donald?
It was never good.
Okay, Project Guard and Project Robot. That was apparently supposed to come out 9 months ago, but it still hasn't.
Project Guard. I think Project Guard has been in every Nintendo "here's what we're releasing in the next fiscal year" thing since E3 2014. Like first it was coming out in November, then it was coming out in first half 2015, then it was coming out second half, and now heaven knows. The only thing we know at this point is that Platinum, in between Scalebound, Nier 2, and Star Fox, is somehow finding time to work on this. Oh, and the Turtles game too that we're not getting.
So there are 3 possibilities for these games. 1, they add characters to them and then use these mechanics and then make a really cool game out of it that ends up being awesome. 2, these games do get made, they do get fleshed out, but the concept remains exactly the same, and then it becomes a failed retail product. Or 3, the concept remains exactly the same, and they end up being pretty cool eShop games. Which of these 3 options do you think it ends up being?
I'm hoping for 3, but I'm thinking 2. And I'm really hoping that 2 never happens, because if these things ship as retail products, I kind of pre-ordered them at full price as filler for Amiibo elsewhere, so I'd be out a lot of money.
And you could easily forget to unpre-order them if you don't like the way they look.
Well, I've only had to, in the 3 years since I started going pre-order discount crazy, I've only had to cancel 1 pre-order because of quality, and we've already talked about it.
Yeah, Devil's Third. Okay. You don't think they're going to put a character on this?
I'm not sure. I mean, if it goes to the eShop, they might take this as a chance to float a trial balloon with a new character, sort of like with Dylan or Mallow.
Yeah.
But I think in order for it to get a new character, it's got to be eShop exclusive, or they're going to be really stupid and ship this thing just as it is retail. Either that or their modes in Star Fox Zero. Who knows? But
they've taken so long to get these from conception to release that either they're struggling with development, which could easily be the case, and then it ends up coming out as a cool eShop game when they figure it out, or they've been actively working on it for a very long time, and it's going to end up being a wonderful 101 situation, which is not to comment on the quality of 101 as a game. Plenty of people say it's one of the best games of all time. That's great. I'm more talking about the sales of Wonderful 101.
Yeah, but the main reason that these games were even announced, I think, at E3 2014 was to try and justify the gamepad. And at this point, we're so close to a successor that may or may not use it. And we're in a post Splatoon and Mario Maker world. They may not need to do that anymore.
Yeah. They might not need to do it at all.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And then our last game, The Legend of Zelda Wii U. We have talked so many times and at so much length about Zelda Wii U that I'm actually going to keep this relatively brief. What do you think is going on with this game, Donald?
We've heard there's been scuttlebutt that this game is basically running on the same engine that they did for Xenoblade X, in which case, oh god, this is going to be amazing. But as long as they can stick the landing on the dungeons. But I think they've probably got all hands on this because I'm pretty sure this game has to come out on Veterans Day.
And once again, Donald, as a Canadian telling an American, what day is Veterans Day this 2016?
November 11th. That is the Friday before Thanksgiving. And we can all pretty much guess what's coming out on the Friday before Thanksgiving.
We think Zelda's going to release a week before the NX, which is going to be the week before Thanksgiving.
Pretty much. If the NX is coming out this year, or some form of the NX is coming out this year, they're going to use it on either on that Friday or that Sunday, because everything launches on Fridays for Nintendo now, so it's going to be that Friday before Thanksgiving, and they're not going to want to have Zelda Wii U distracting from that. So they would probably I can't see it being in October and never going to be in December after how Xenoblade Chronicles X went. So November 11th seems to be the magic date.
How about this as a possibility? The Legend of Zelda Wii U is coming out in 2016. That we both agree on, correct?
Correct.
Okay, The Legend of Zelda Wii U is coming out in 2016. It comes out the week before Thanksgiving alongside the NX. And that piece of information, it comes out the week before Thanksgiving alongside the NX and the NX version of The Legend of Zelda on Wii U.
The only reason I don't see that happening is because I don't think the next console is what's coming out in November. I think it's the next handheld. And I'm really questioning how a giant open world game on the scale of a Xenoblade or what Zelda Wii U should probably end up being, or basically how Monolith's engine would work on a lower powered system, because it's already that was already straining the Wii U as it is, I'll admit.
Yes. If they end up putting out just a handheld this year, The Legend of Zelda Wii U will not be on the NX handheld. If the NX console comes out this year, Zelda Wii U will be on it. And then I will also add, if the NX doesn't come out in 2016, Zelda Wii U will not come out on the NX.
Yeah. Or my conjecture with Zelda, with whatever Zelda Wii U ends up being called, is that it's not going to be a Twilight Princess, but think more Last of Us, in which there's a sort of remastered version of it a year from now or 18 months from now, in Nintendo's case, at a lower price.
Isn't it interesting how those two relatively similar situations with a slight tweak end up sort of coloring the entirety of how you look at that? Just because, like, Twilight Princess, the way that ended up working out and how the GameCube version kind of ended up getting shafted, like, I don't remember that time period so fondly. But The Last of Us, how it got some time to breathe on the PS3, one of the games of the year, arguably by many outlets the game of the year in 2013, get some room to breathe. PS4 version comes out the next year. It ends up being a great version of that game. And then I remember both versions of that game relatively fondly. If they do the same thing with Zelda Wii U, they could sort of negate some of the that we might end up feeling if they try to shaft the Wii U version, put both versions out at the same time.
Yeah. I think Because they don't want. I don't think they want to do the situation again where you have this next console version coming out and then a month later another one comes out. Because at that point they're probably just trying to shut the factories down for Wii U production anyway, or get them going full bore on NX. And as I recall, the only place I ever saw with any significant number of copies of the GameCube version was one Toys R Us that no longer exists around here. That GameCube version was dramatically undershipped.
Yeah.
For Twilight Princess. So this HD remake this year is actually the first time I think a lot of people are going to have a chance to play that game with standard controls.
Isn't it so crazy that Twilight Princess ended up being on 3 Nintendo consoles in a row?
It's like, yeah, that's true. I can't think of any game that would be in that category unless like God of War 1 and 2 get ported to the PS4 at some point.
And it ended up being newly announced versions of Twilight Princess. GameCube, Wii, and Wii U. That the release of Twilight Princess was from like 2006 to 2016.
Yeah. But the most important thing is there is going to be a brand new Zelda game coming out this year because we are in the 30th anniversary of Zelda. So they've got to have something new.
Yes. The Legend of Zelda game will come out this year. It would be terribly depressing if the only Zelda releases this year were Twilight Princess HD and Hyrule Warriors Legends.
Yeah, and
the Minda amiibo.
Yeah,
don't forget about that.
Yeah, an HD remake and a game that may not even work on its platform as the two big releases for the 30th anniversary. That'd be the most depressing one since Metroid's 25th.
Yeah. Oh, never forget. Okay, that's our 2016 preview. Well, there is one more game that I did remember just as we were talking about it. Phoenix Wright 6 is slated to come out this year, isn't it?
It's slated to come out. They've never really said when it would come, just that it was getting localized. And I think a lot of people have forgotten that just because the Great Ace Attorney isn't coming out. Yeah,
and they're kind of skipping right over that one in Yakuza style and just going straight to 6, which is probably the right thing to do, even though I really want that spinoff. Yeah, it's Phoenix Wright 6. Look forward to that one too. That's our big conclusion.
Yeah, and we don't even have like a Japanese release date for that, I don't think.
No. But there you go. 2016 Nintendo. Get excited about it. Hopefully Mario and Luigi ends up being amazing. Hopefully Zelda ends up being amazing. And hopefully the Wii U version gets some room to breathe. Hopefully we get the Dragon Quest games with some promptness. Hopefully we get Rhythm Heaven and Style Savvy. Hopefully Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow ends up living up to our expectations. And yeah, go ahead.
And hoping Pokemon X, Y, and Z come out this year.
Is that the name you're settled on now? Is it going to be Pokemon XYZ?
I think that just basing it off the anime name. But I think we are going to get our third version this year, and I'm hoping it's as good an evolution, pardon the pun, as Platinum and Black 2 White 2 were.
And I might add that it's going to come out in October. That's my guess.
I figured that was I figured that was the Dragon Quest 8 slot, honestly, but October I could see because I guess that'd be the anniversary of when X and Y came out in the first place.
Here's one. Dragon Quest 7 in like March or April, Dragon Quest 8 in November, Pokemon in October.
Yeah, the only reason I don't think that would happen is because they've already said Dragon Quest 7 is summer.
Oh yeah, but that's even more reason to push 8 to November or December.
Yeah.
Or 2017. That could be a 2017 game just by spacing them out.
Yeah, but I think as determined as Nintendo is to sort of get away from the Wii U, they're even more determined to get away from the 3DS. So I don't see the last major release I think we're going to see is Yokai Watch 2 if they decide to go ahead with it, which based on sales of the first game, who knows?
Did the game sell well or not?
Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon outsold it.
And Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon did not sell very well.
It did about Super Mystery Dungeon did about 110,000, and based on locally, that's about all they shipped. Yokai Watch did about 70,000, according to sources.
Oh man, that's not good at all, Donald.
No, but if the merchandise sells like they've announced, like a Yokai Watch Game of Life and Yokai Watch Monopoly from Hasbro, that could be the catalyst to get the sequel out here. But I don't think we're going to see anything until probably the NX at this point.
And there you have it. That is our preview of Nintendo's 2016. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Alex Kalafi here with Donald Terrio. Donald Terrio can be found on Twitter at Donald Mick. That is DonaldMick. I can be found on Twitter at CULAFIA. Also listen to Donald's other podcast, Nintendo Free Radio. And we will see you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.